Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and today I'm looking at an important book which has come to us from Wildy, Hill and Simmonds, or Wildy, Simmonds and Hill Publishing. Get it the other way around. This is an important book for family law practitioners, including people like myself. It's Childcare and Protection, Law and Practice. Now the title gives you a fairly wide area of coverage, and we'll get onto that in a moment. It's in a 6th edition. It's a popular book, this one. It's only a paperback, and by the way, I think it's first class. As a practitioner in this area, I've certainly found it very, very, very helpful. It's not expensive either. It is the law and practice, after all. It's been written by two people, Safda Mahmood and Julie Doughty. I have pronounced the name incorrectly in the past, so apologies if I've got the names wrong in any way, but these two people have done a first-class job for us. I'm very grateful. The title of our review is the following: An Excellent Practical Concise Guide Reviewing the Law and Practice of Childcare Protection. That's what you've got. It's about children, and it's about that specific jurisdiction and the difficulties to go with it. Let's look at the book first of all. Here it is. You can see it, 6th edition. There's the spine, and then there's a bit of blurb on the back. I borrowed a bit of the blurb for the review, but most of my review is done on the basis of what I deal with in practice. Here is the index at the back. It's by page numbering. Total number of pages under 300. You should find, references are to page numbers, it says in the index. You should find what you're looking for quite easily. Then you've got at the back quite an interesting little statement on sources right at the back. Of where you might go for additional information, improving law skills and practice. Always helpful for the newer practitioner. I'll mention a bit about that in a minute. There's the front page. You can see the main front page there. Then the blurb from Wildy. Then the preface. And in fact there's a nice little commentary. The preface actually this time has been written by, it's quite a long preface, but it's been written by Safda Mahmood as the editor, and obviously he's mentioning a number of people, so it's quite useful, so you get a picture of what's happened, because this has been extensively updated, this book, and it's had to be because of the changes, hence the fact that the preface itself is quite long. The acknowledgements from Safda and Julie are given, and then you get the content section itself. As I say, it's a very readable book. That's another thing which I think is very helpful. This is a very emotional area for everyone, and therefore you do need something that can be of use to unrepresented parties, in particular mums. And I do think it's important to have books that will get the temperature down a bit. This does, I think. There are 20 chapters in total. You can see the detail there, and it's dealing with a lot of useful advice. List of abbreviations, always helpful. We always forget things. I do, and I'm not that old, but I certainly do from time to time. So I've got the abbreviations there on that page and that page. Then some figures and tables are included. A glossary and legislative framework, always helpful, because we're looking here at various pieces of legislation. Obviously things like the Adoption and Children Act 2002, the Children Act itself, of course, and all the other stuff. Quite a lot of useful information under the glossaries, like for instance the definition of a guardian. That's quite useful, I think, for, again, some people may not know that much about it. They may suddenly find they're faced with this area of law practice which they won't know anything about. So this will be of help, and gives you definitions all the way through. Parental responsibility, that's another one. It is defined, of course, it's said by Section 3 of the Children Act, but again, what does it mean? And that gives you some idea, because if someone says, I want PA, I want parental responsibility for something, well, what does that really mean when it comes to advice you're giving the client? And as I say, if you're new to this area of law, or people like me have been doing it for a while, we still like to keep ourselves as sharp as possible, and I think this helps. There's sort of all the other stuff right there, the A to Z on the glossary. Then you've got orders available, so you've got a nice logical structure there with the changes that have taken place, because some people will still have older versions of the types of orders that might be available, and this puts it in more perspective. Then principles underlying the Children Act and so on, running all the way through. I'm not going to give any more information out because, as I say, this is a book which I think most people in practice should certainly know about, and I think a lot of them will find it very helpful. So what do I say? Elizabeth and I wrote the review, but I did most of the work on this because it's my area of practice, or one of them. This splendid work, entitled Childcare and Protection Law and Practice, has been published by Wildy, Simmonds and Hill, now in a new 6th edition for 2019. And the authors are a solicitor, Safda Mahmood, and a lecturer, Dr Julie Doughty. And they give us a practical and concise guide to the areas surrounding the Children Act specifically, and subsequent child protection legislation, as obviously that's mentioned, of course. It looks also at the guidance and the current case law. So undoubtedly this is a book which I think will be a great assistance to practitioners and to those unrepresented parties involved in these types of family proceedings. They're not easy proceedings, and this book I think will help. It'll also be very useful for those new, of course, to proceedings, as I've said. What we have in addition to a simple readable statement on the general principles of the law relating to childcare and protection are valuable insights into assessments, care planning, expert evidence, taking instructions, case preparation and courtroom skills. And again, I think that's important because there's a certain technique that I would suggest has to be played out in these types of proceeding. It's not the same as the sort of other types of proceedings that I get involved in. So I do think it's useful to know about that, and you will find the information invaluable. Excuse me. It is also very much the hallmark of Wildy publications that these types of book appeal to a wide audience of readers, and I think this book is no exception, providing its popularity as such is the fact that it's now in the 6th edition. The book's been extensively updated for 2019, as the authors have mentioned, and the new edition examines at a reasonable length the details of all significant developments since the introduction of a single family court from 2014. That's not really been as well understood as it might be, because the reality is that people just know about the problem. But for us as practitioners, it's nice to know that there has been this new development. So both authors have included useful commentary on the following areas, and I'll give a list of them: the new procedures on control of expert evidence, the duration of care proceedings, and changes to children's care plans, all of which very, very, very important. In addition, the book reviews the introduction of the revised Practice Direction 12A, that covers care and supervision proceedings, and other Part 4 proceedings. That's the guide to case management, and of course the introduction of what are called now the child arrangement orders, which of course has caused a few problems because we all know of them probably as contact orders or whatever, but it's lumping everything together. Obviously that's under the Child Arrangements Programme, Practice Direction 12B, and that covers with accompanying new forms, of course, and documentation, and an examination there in the book, of course, of the revised Practice Direction 12J. Were very important, we all know about it. It's coming in, it's in now in the Red Book, of course, as well. This is on domestic abuse and child arrangements, and we found this information particularly helpful to go with the more detailed information, again, in the Red Book itself for 2019, the Family Court Practice. The paperback version of this book was published as a 6th edition on the 16th of August, and I'm reviewing it in the summer of 2019. So it's only very, very recent. There it is again. There's the spine and then the detail on the back with some blurb about the authors. Just opening it in the middle. I'm looking here at, this is an interesting area. This is chapter 8, secure accommodation. So you see how the book is structured. There's normally a page between each chapter. Then for chapter 8, the heading itself, there's no little index or anything, but you go straight in. There's no paragraph number. You just go straight into the body text, talking about what local authorities' duties are, and then restricting liability with a secure accommodation order. This is for particular types of person. Safeguarding, of course, always comes into it. Then criminal cases, use of secure accommodation in civil cases and so on. See, difficult areas of law. Then obviously just going a bit further forward, other orders available to the courts in family proceedings, leave to apply and so on. So there's a lot of detail. I think it does go quite nicely with the Red Book itself. But again, I found it extremely helpful, and I'm sure most people will in practice. Very big thank you to everybody concerned, and to commissioning editor Andrew Riddock and all your people at Wildy, Simmonds and Hill Publishing. Another first-class book, and I'm very grateful, and on behalf of all the practitioners and people, users, thank you very much. It makes our lives a great deal easier. Bye-bye.